What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Endurance Physios podcast. I'm Dr. Will Gonzaba, joined always by my good friend and co-host, Dr. Sam Rockwater. How's it going, Sammy?
Hola, senor. I'm doing great, man. I just came off a
Awesome.
wonderful, hard ride, and we have a little special episode today.
Yeah, we do. We do have a special episode. So today we get to do finally our first race recap episode.
Woo-woo!
So Sam finally got a race weekend in on his bike. So Sam, what'd you go out to do? What'd you go out to do?
I did the Belgium waffle ride in Arizona, which ironically is probably like the course is about an hour away from my house, but my in-laws have a house there, and it is literally 4 miles from the start. So I literally rode to the start, and then after the ride, I literally rode home.
That's awesome, man. You can't beat that. Being able to go home the same day, it's awesome. So let me ask you this first, before you tell us more about the race day, is how long has it been on your calendar, and like how long have you been prepping for it? What was prep like for it?
Oh my God, dude. This I would consider this a panic training event.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna get that out of the way right
We
away.
have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, it's been on the calendar for probably about 12 weeks. And I actually probably started preparing for it about 4 weeks ago. So that is 100% my fault. But there was a lot of training, a few hiccups here and there with like work and a little mild illness and some allergies and all sorts of fun stuff in between. But to answer your question, it has been on my calendar for over 12 weeks, probably closer to 16 weeks, like 4 months. And I have trained about 4 weeks for it. So guilty as charged.
Happens. It happens sometimes. But you made it through. It's cool that they had a BWR in Arizona. I think the original one is in San Diego, but they've kind of expanded a lot, it seems like, in the past 5 to 10 years. So maybe 5 years. So is this the first time they've run it in Arizona?
This is the second time in Arizona. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Belgian Waffle Ride or races is a series of races. It started in San Diego with this insane like 129-mile course or something like that, with like insane amounts of elevation gain and drop. And now they have one in California, the original still in San Diego. They have one in Scottsdale or Cave Creek, Phoenix, Arizona. They have another one in St. George, Utah, or just outside of it, or southern Utah, I guess. It's Hurricane. I can't remember. But somewhere in Utah. And then they also have another one in North Carolina as well. So they have 4. But for Arizona, this was the second time it was in Arizona. So last year was the inaugural year. This was the second year. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a ton of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking up on the BWR website right now. They've got a ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different locations, which is pretty cool. So I'll mention
where are the other 2?
Okay, so they are at BWR, Arizona, Cave Creek, Utah, Cedar City.
That's the one I did.
San Marcos, California.
Cedar City, right outside of
Hendersonville, North Carolina.
San Diego?
I'm guessing so. So I don't see another California.
Yeah.
And Hendersonville, North Carolina.
So those are the 4 that I listed.
Okay, then.
Oh, there's 2 in North Carolina?
No. Just Hendersonville. You already said North Carolina, but that one. And there's British Columbia. And then in Mexico.
Oh.
Querétaro, Mexico. That's pretty sick. Yeah, actually, I think I have a client going to do that one.
Oh, man.
But what's
I might have to do those in the future.
That would be sick. Well, I'm kind of upset that you didn't invite me to do BWR Arizona, but we'll talk about that off air.
Well,
the thing is, guys, like I love hanging out with Sam a lot, but he just never invites me to do things. So it's fine. It's cool.
Jeez, called out. Will, you are more. I'm going to throw it out there right now, Will. You are more than welcome to come over to Arizona and ride anytime you desire. You just let me know, and I have a bed in our house just with your name on it. So
you're being nice because we're on here. Okay, but I'll say that that BWR. So for those, so it got its claim to fame in San Diego. Was at, like Sam said, in insane climbing. I think it's probably like a 10,000 feet over. It's like 120,
Plus, yeah.
130,000. Yeah. And what it's known, it's a challenging course because it is mainly a road race. However, they have gravel or like single track segments. And I don't think any of them are particularly very long, but you're still, most people I think are still running road bikes that they just have to be able to handle well on these gravel sections. So that got it a lot of popularity because of the challenge and gear selection and things like that. I could be wrong. Maybe people are riding more gravel bikes nowadays because they've changed a lot. But either way, what was the
Yeah.
course like in Arizona? So what distance did you do, and then like what was the split between gravel and pavement?
Yeah. Yeah. So they had 3 different distances. So they had the waffle, which was 120 miles, I believe. They had the wafer, which is the one that I did, which was 68 miles. I should back up. The waffle was 120 miles and like over almost like 14,000 feet of climbing or something insane like that. Then they had the wafer, which
That's
was the one that I did. Yeah. And that was 68 miles, and that was like 4,700 feet of climbing, I believe. And then they had the Wana, which was like a 35-mile, I think it was like 2,000 feet of climbing. So they have 3 different distances that you can choose. I did the wafer, which was the middle one. That was a 68-mile one, which was probably the accurate choice considering I did not get that much training in for it. But I'm looking right now on Strava. On BWR, it's 68.06 miles. It had 4,698 feet of climbing, so about 4,700 feet of climbing. It was a hefty amount. It was good though. It was a lot of fun. My lapse time 4:45:47. So almost 5 hours. Average power is 166 watts. For those of you who geek out about that stuff, my average speed was 14.5 miles per hour. And then my calorie consumption was 2,780 calories, which was a fair amount of calories. I know I was constantly trying to get in enough calories. For those of you who are Training Peaks geeks and love the TSS, my TSS was 266. My normalized power was 204, and my intensity factor was 0.75 for those of you who care. My average heart rate was 158 with a max of 189. So I got after it a little bit, but it was it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
the vibe there was really cool. Much more casual and laid back. The biggest thing going out into the desert was a lot of fun. There's always people around to ride with, which was also really cool. I met this. Hopefully, he's listening. That'd be actually really cool. I met a guy who is a pediatrician from San Diego. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. He's a super nice guy. He had a Fairdale bike. Anyways, we were talking back and forth, and he ended up doing the full waffle. But it was a lot of fun though, talking with people and kind of just, we were geeking out on tires for a little bit. We were talking back and forth and a lot of pace lining and stuff like that. It was really cool. It was a good mix between like a road race and more of a casual like mountain bike vibe to it. So a little bit more of a party, but still business at the front. So a lot of people racing at the front, but then if you wanted to hang back, which on 4 weeks of training, I knew that I was not going to be anywhere near the front. So I just kind of hung back from the beginning, and it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people there, and had a really fun time. Most of the race,
That's
I know
cool,
you
man.
mentioned the race, a few pavement sections, mainly as connectors to get to the gravel roads, and then a lot of single track. Actually, I think they said 42% of the race was single track, which
Damn,
is,
that's a
I
long
mean,
way to
that's
go,
pretty,
dude.
yeah,
That's a lot of single track.
that's
I'm
pretty good.
impressed, dude. You had a super solid.
Love is
If
fun
that's
though.
impressive, your overall. It would have been good to know that before hearing your stats, because I was like, I wonder what it was. But dude, that's your stats are pretty.
No,
You give yourself some
40.
gratitude. That's pretty
There you
good.
go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely,
Yeah, not bad.
definitely haven't been in better shape in my life, but I will 100% take that. I did not have any flats, did not have any mechanicals. Had zero issues with hydration, zero issues with nutrition. Everything was pretty much spot on from that
Nice.
side, and it was a really fun race, actually. I enjoyed it.
What
I was a little nervous and hesitant. Go ahead.
Just
Go ahead.
speaking about the yeah, speaking about like the stats and like gear selection, and tires.
Mm-hmm.
What tire pressure did you run? Tire pressure, and then what tires
Mm-hmm.
did you run?
Sure. Um, so I had WTB Resolutes on.
Okay,
I believe they're Resolutes. They're 700 by 42. I ran. I was 188 pounds. Is how much I weigh, and then I had 36 pounds of or 36 psi in the front, and then 37 and a half in the back. And I was probably a
cool.
little high on the front. The back was spot on. I probably could have gone down to 37 psi in the back, but I didn't have too many issues with that, and I wasn't going to change it mid ride. So they did have a lot of aid stations as well, which was awesome. So I think there's 4 aid stations in the 68 miles, which was great. The first one being at like 13 miles, and then it was pretty much like every 12-ish miles after that, which was awesome. They were very well put together. I was nervous signing up for it because the BWR rides are not the cheapest rides in the world, not the cheapest races in the world by any means. And with my in-laws' house being that close, I've ridden a lot of that single track before. So I'm like, am I just riding the same single track that I've ridden before for free? But I was definitely happy that I did it. There's some really cool routes. We also went through a few private sections of road. And so BWR got special permits for that. So you can't just go out and ride that course without getting some landowner permission. So it was cool to ride
That's
that.
cool.
Almost all the course was great. The only downside was right at the end. There was kind of like these little like whoop sections where it was just kind of like small hills, probably like 2 feet tall, foot and a half, 2 feet tall, and you just kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down. But it wasn't. You couldn't work the hills like compress and then lift up, compress and lift up to try and like gain speed because there was a whole bunch of soft sand and dirt in them. And so every time you go down the hill, I felt like my head was like whipping forward and that like I was giving myself like it was concussing myself. But that was like one small section. It was probably, I don't know, 2 miles, 3 miles, and then it was done. So um, overall for 68, 65 of the miles were great. So I really can't complain about that portion of it.
That's
But
awesome, man. That's awesome. What do you
yeah, it was good.
what did you do? What do you do for nutrition for something like that? And did you carry most of it on you, or are you doing like mostly picking up stuff at the aid stations?
Um, I did a combo platter. So I had one. I've been using a product. It's called Sugar RX. I've been using that recently. And so essentially, I take these little. They're meant to be little like pixie shots, if you will. But essentially, I would I took 2 of those and put those in a water bottle to kind of like dilute it. But the idea behind it's allulose, not necessarily glucose, but allulose, which is another, I don't know exactly the science behind it, but essentially it does help give you some energy. I need to look that up more. But I've been using that recently, and that's been
Science.
super helpful. Science, who needs science? But I use that, and then my other water bottle just had straight water. And then I had waffles in my back pocket and a gel from Honey Stinger. And then I think I skipped the first aid station because I was good. I was feeling good. I was with a good group. Everyone was rolling through. Um, and then second aid station, I just topped off my water. Third aid station, I got some more electrolytes, and they had SIS products there, and so I grabbed I grabbed a beta gel there, and then the last aid station, which was I think 12 miles from the finish. Probably should know this. It was 12 miles from the finish. Just gonna go with it. Somebody can call me out in the comments, but it was 12 miles from the finish, and I grabbed 2 more beta gels, and then had a waffle and grabbed a little bit of water, and called it good. And no issues, man. I was very happy with that. Very happy with my nutrition. But I think a lot of
That's awesome.
that, I didn't really come in. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's awesome that you
I
had
was I
4 aid
was
stations in a 68-mile course. That makes it so much easier
yeah,
planning wise, and like not having to carry a
yeah.
hydration pack or anything like that. It makes logistically it's so much
Yes.
easier.
Yeah, and you know what? I was
No,
I was kind of a little bit like low key a little bit nervous just because um I didn't have like a solid plan. But like, okay, I'm gonna at this aid station, I'm gonna grab this. At this one, I'm gonna grab this. Like, I've done enough endurance sports now and worked on my nutrition and fueling so much and paid so much attention to it that I feel like I had a really good idea of what I needed and what I didn't. And I have a good idea of how to listen to my body and grab stuff when I need it. And so I kind of went in there a little blind and just kind of like, all right, well, let's try it. And it ended up working out really well. But I would not recommend that for a lot of people. I recommend having a plan. That probably would have saved me a little bit of stress the night before when I'm like, oh man, I should probably figure out a plan. But otherwise though, I was it worked out really well. And I think that's just
nice.
paying attention to it a lot in the future, or a lot in the past, but I really should more in the future too. So I don't know,
Hey, it worked today. It worked that
but
weekend. I know you said
it
that
worked.
the big dogs, or not the big dogs, the longest distance was 110, 120. You said
20, I think 120. Yeah.
120. Yeah. And the field, I think I saw on Instagram there's some pretty big names out there mixing it up. Who ended up coming out
Some
number
heavy
one? Who
hitters,
won?
man.
Yeah.
Keegan
Who
Swenson. So,
won?
so,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
finished. Yeah, male Keegan Swenson won. Female Sophia. What's her name? Sophia Vanya. I'm gonna butcher
Oh,
her
yeah.
last name. Sophia.
I
Um,
got you.
Vana Villanova. Thank you. But I felt really slow because I finished, and literally 25 minutes later, Keegan Swenson crossed the line doing 120 miles. So I did 68 in 4 hours and 45 minutes. And Keegan Swenson did 120 miles in 5 hours and 4 minutes. So that made me feel very slow, but just an absolute monster, just an absolute beast
That's
of a
ridiculous.
cyclist. I was just like, holy shit. Um, who knows? He is down in Tucson quite a bit. I have never met him personally, but I have met Russell Finsterwald or Finsty, who's another who's a really good friend with him. So maybe we can get him on the podcast someday. But
That
the
would be
female Sofia
ridiculously cool.
Gomez Villafante, yeah, Sofia
Okay.
Gomez Villafante is
Cool.
the women's champ, and also too, there's one point in time where she actually passed me um, because
Damn.
we're in a single track section, and yeah, and the waffle goes and does like in 2 extra little like loops, and so she already did the loop that I was on, and then the bigger loop, and then was already coming back, and I turn left and she turns right and goes another like 20 miles downhill and then comes back up. And so anyways, at one point in time, she did pass me on the single track. This was like right at that really slow kind of whoop section. She was flying by me. But she was super nice, super courteous. It was like, hey, like, can I pass whenever you get a minute? I'm like, absolutely. Pulled right over, and she was like literally 2 turns and she was gone. And I was like, well, I can't see her anymore. I'm feeling
It,
rather slow. But
it's so
that's just,
humbling to
I
get
mean, that's why they
passed.
are the pros, man.
It's so
Yeah.
humbling
I
to get
mean,
passed
that's
by
why
a
they're the
pro.
pros. That's why they
Yeah,
get paid
yeah,
for it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No sweat,
But,
man. No, we don't think anything less of
but
you
it was
because she
good.
passed you up. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you gonna do it again next year and invite me?
Will, if you
Maybe.
do it, I will 100% do it with you next year.
All right, cool,
And
cool.
you know what? I won't panic train, and we'll do the 120.
Oh
We'll
yeah, we
we'll
will.
make a full day of it.
I'm not going all the way over there for 68 miles. that'd still be a stretch.
Yeah,
But
no, of course.
we got to do the big thing. We got to do the big thing. All right, that's cool, man.
Yeah, and
Anything?
you can go and hop in the pool after. That's all.
That sounds wonderful. That
So it'll
sounds
be
great.
good. Continue. Sorry.
No. I was going to ask anything else that you want to add in on the event. You got anything else coming up?
I'm thinking about doing the Whiskey 50, which is a 50-mile mountain bike ride in Prescott, for those of you who are not from Arizona, Prescott, Arizona. And that is in a few weeks, maybe a month. So maybe try that. Right now, as Arizona's like middle of the season for Arizona, because it gets so hot. So I've been admittedly very busy with things that we will talk about in the future here, but just being super busy, and so I haven't had enough time to train and enough races to do. But I would like to do the Whiskey 50. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've done it in the past, and it was an absolute blast. I did it in my build up to Leadville 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, and that was a lot of fun. And again, I also got passed by Keegan Swenson in that race as well, who also won that, and that was also humbling again. But
you'll get him one day.
We'll get there.
You'll get there. You'll get him.
Yeah, it is good.
Well, cool, man. Cool, very cool. Well, yeah, y'all. We hope to kind of keep you guys updated when we do these events. I know that both between Sam and I, we do them fairly frequently. I bet our seasons will parallel a lot because we have similar climate. So it's basically the same thing here. Like it'll be races until like May, and then not much else until late September and October. So hopefully we have a couple cool events to talk to y'all about coming up. All right, Sam. Well, thanks for the recap, dude. Solid job out there, man.
Man.
I think you should do the Whiskey 50. That sounds like it'll be awesome. Of course, man. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Endurance Physios podcast. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to it. If there's any topics that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know in the comment section or shoot us a DM on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of us. Sam, if people want to follow along with your endurance life and with your physio life, where's the best place for them to contact you?
Sure. The old IG or Instagram is the best, at the Endurance Physio, and it has an E, and then endurance also has an E. So it's THE, another E, NDURANCE, PHYSIO, the Endurance Physio. That would be the best. The Endurance Physio.
With 2 E's. Awesome.
Yep.
And y'all can catch me at
with 2 E's.
Will Gonzaba on Instagram. With 2 E's. With 2 E's. Don't forget. Y'all can catch me at Will Gonzaba on Instagram, and then my clinic at Olmos Park Physio. That's OLMOSPARK PHYSIO. Man, we just have to spell that on every single episode. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, y'all. So another thing that would be awesome is if you guys download the episode, leave us a review. That will really help us boost this thing and get it growing, and send a friend our way. That means the world to us. All right, y'all. We appreciate the listen. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.